I was right, but you guys said no. All right, before we get into this, I just want to say one thing. I don't want to be right. I don't. But in this case, I was. And I made a video, which I'll go ahead and I'll link at the end of this one, stating that you should wait to buy a Nintendo Switch Lite and why I was not going to buy one. And in that video, I stated the Joy-Con drift problem. Now, the biggest issue with the Nintendo Switch, as many people know, is the Joy-Cons. The Joy-Cons suffer from what's called Joy-Con drift. If you don't know what Joy-Con drift is when the Joy-Con doesn't register properly, where the sensor inside thinks it's a movement when it's really not. It might be dead center, but because the mechanisms inside have worn out, it causes the character or the map to move freely when it's not supposed to be moving. A good way to check something like this out is to go ahead and take a look or go play the demo version of Switches that they have at retailers such as Best Buy or GameStop. Now, going into this article, which is one of many, and I just accidentally clicked on an ad, which is one of many articles. This one is coming to us from Nintendo Life, and let's just be clear, okay? The system hasn't been out for that long, and there's been reports, numerous reports, that the Switch Lite might have the same Joy-Con drift problem. And this article right here says we have our first reported case on the drift problem. So let's go ahead and take a look at this article. Ever since the Switch Lite launched, one big question mark has loomed over it. Will its analog sticks suffer from the same drift issues that have plagued the original model's Joy-Con controllers? Despite fresh reports that the analog stick inside the Switch Lite differs in terms of design, we've had our first report of a unit exhibiting drift. Okay, I want to talk about the sporting a different design. There's been actual cases where it's the same design, okay? And so we'll get into that in a moment, but I want to reference, I believe it's Spawnwave. Spawnwave is a YouTuber who does, you know, video game videos and stuff like that. And so Spawnwave decided that he was going to take apart the Nintendo Switch Lite, and after he did so, he noticed that the hardware is actually identical to the Nintendo Switch when it comes to the controllers, the joysticks. So he stated that because the design and the actual build of the joystick is the same, that it will suffer from Joy-Con drift. And so this report right here, while it states that, it's already a little bit conflicting, but we've got some other articles that we're going to read as well. So continuing on, while we can't be 100% sure this means the console is drift prone, this could potentially be a different fault, and one case doesn't mean all units are necessarily at risk. It's not the most encouraging sign, especially when you consider the system has only been available for a matter of days. So let's take a look at this video really quick. I'm gonna mute it just in case, like copyright or anything. Alright, so they're showing us the Switch Lite, and the background is drifting. And it's a slight drift. It's not terrible, but it's still there. And so they're playing Breath of the Wild, and you can see the drift happening in the environment as the camera is slowly moving around. So yes, okay, that is a very, very light case of a Joy-Con drift. So as you can see from the footage, this issue appears to be with the right hand stick. The owner lightly touches the stick, but input continues to be detected even after they lift their finger away. What do you make of this footage? Let us know in the comments below. Okay, so for sure that is Joy-Con drift. That is something that people have been experiencing since the Nintendo Switch launched. And So going from that article, as I stated that in another article, SpawnWave has actually taken apart the Nintendo Switch Lite, and he's seen that the hardware is identical. That is not to say it's the case for all of them. So going to this one right here, second Nintendo Switch Lite teardown hints at different analog stick design. So not all Switch Lites are made equal. So it looks like the joysticks or the analog stick designs are different for different models of the Switch Lites, which is actually very, very concerning, but it's hopeful. In my opinion, it makes it seem like they tried to make a fix for it, but maybe they ran out of materials and just like, oh, let's just throw the old hardware into the new one, and nobody will see the difference until they actually do. So they did update this article actually today. Interestingly, in this video uploaded by Retro Future, you can see the differences in the stick's metal casing, which sits underneath the stick in normal circumstances. You can see it around the 720 mark. We're not going to take a look at the video if the video is that long. Does this mean the sticks have been upgraded and are now more durable component? Perhaps we won't see any drift on the Switch Lite after all. Except that if there are Switches out there, or Switch Lites out there, that have the same hardware as the prior ones, well, that goes to show that we will indeed continue to see that issue happen. Maybe not for everybody. Maybe those lucky ones who got the newer hardware in there won't see that. But as it is right now, it's kind of a lottery draw, honestly. Like I always say, and I said this in the video before, to wait. You want to wait a little bit before buying new hardware, a new system, because you want them to get the kinks worked out. I waited a while to buy my PS4 because I didn't need to buy a PS4 at the time. When a system releases, like from one generation to the next, they don't cut off the support for the previous generation right away, and then on top of that, you have the games getting released on both systems. So while that may not be the case for the Nintendo Switch versus the Nintendo Wii U, it is certainly the case with the Nintendo Switch and the Switch Lite. The Switch Lite, you could wait. You can wait for a little bit, and hopefully they address these issues. So reading through this original article, YouTube channel SpawnWave, which we mentioned before, has conducted a teardown of the Switch Lite and seemingly confirmed that the new console has the same analog stick design as the original. Sticks on the 2017 Switch Joycon controllers suffer from an issue with drift. They register input even when they are not being touched. A class action lawsuit has been raised against Nintendo on this matter, and the company has started to repair impacted Joycon for free. Now, I used an example before, and I'm going to go ahead and get this really quick. I used this as an example before. Nintendo 64. Okay, those of you guys who have had Nintendo 64s, if you don't, and you probably don't know about this, okay? Joy-Con drift has been happening since the Nintendo 64. This right here, the analog stick, had some faults in the design of it, and it would actually wear out, and so the analog stick would just like hang after a while. And there was no way to adjust it except to, get somebody to actually repair the controller for you, or you just go and buy another controller. So that has been around for a while. Even the GameCube had an issue with their analog sticks, not so much the C stick, but it had a problem with the main analog stick. So if that's the case, it's not something that can't happen to every system. Hell, even on my PlayStation controllers, it could possibly happen. Has it happened? No, and knock on wood that it doesn't happen, but it could be a possibility for it to happen. I've had this is my original PS4 controller, still works great. The battery life is not as top notch as it was when I first got it, but that happens with any sort of internal battery. So going through this, let's continue on. Although the sticks on the Switch Lite have different part numbers, SpawnWave is of the opinion they are, in terms of design and materials used, identical to the ones of the original model. The teardown has also revealed that the battery inside the Switch Lite is 16% smaller than the one inside the original, and the battery life is maintained due to a more power efficient version of the console's processor. The Wi-Fi antenna has also been moved, presumably to improve reception. It also revealed that the screen is made by Innolux, the same company which supplies the improved panel on the upgraded variant of the original Switch. And honestly, if you're going to get a Switch, if this is going to be your first Switch, I would honestly get the upgraded version of the original Switch. It's a better battery, it's a better screen, everything else is the same, so you'll still suffer from the Joy-Con drift issue eventually. But the way that I resolve it, I try not to use my Joy-Cons as much as possible. I'll use an external controller, whether you want to use a Pro controller, whether you want to use a wireless controller, whether you want to use a wired controller, whatever case may be, that's how I deal with it. I have controllers galore, so that way like I can play, my kids can play, and we try not to use the Joy-Cons as much as possible because I don't want them to go bad, because then I will then have to get them repaired. There is an article over here. Switch Lite stick drift repairs will cost more than original Joy-Con, in Japan at least. So there's a ton of articles that have gotten released regarding this, and it's absolutely insane that it's actually happening. And I this is not something I wanted to be right with, but this is the reason why I made that video and I cautioned people, and people gave me backlash for it. Like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and link that video at the end of this one. Yeah, I said a couple of things wrong with it, the price and when the Switch Lite would be released. I just come back from vacation, so I was kind of like out of everything as far as being in the loop with everything came out. The Nintendo Switch Lite is $200. I said it might have been $150, but regardless of that, if you want to point that out, okay, fine, whatever, point that out. But if you're gonna use that as a way to kind of make it seem like I'm wrong that the Joy-Con drift is going to be a problem on the Switch Lite, well, you know what? You guys were wrong. I was right. It is an issue. It's a very big concern now, and maybe more people should have listened, but I guess not. Throughout the many comments we read from Nintendo fans on a daily basis, the one recurring theme behind any Switch Lite doubts has revolved around the possibility of stick drift, and particularly how repairing such an issue would be more of a problem in the Lite than with the original model, which is true. We think the Switch Lite is a really decent piece of kit, really? But the one thing we couldn't assess in our hardware review was this fear of any potential drift. We've seen it be reported by a frightening number of original model owners, but the issue started to appear a year or two into the system's lifespan. I would argue 6 months, but that's besides the point. With Switch Lite, we'll need more time to figure out whether or not the same problem will occur. The early signs are strangely conflicting. I would always caution, wait anywhere between 4 to 6 months when a new console gets released. Okay? Anywhere between 4 to 6 months is a safe bet. Even for computer parts, I would say that, only because you tend to pay the most amount of money for brand new computer parts when it comes out, but that's a different argument. So if the Switch Lite does encounter these problems, we emphasize the if, because Nintendo may have tweaked something under the hood to combat the issue without us realizing. No, they would have said something. Then how much of a problem will it be to fix? Well, Nintendo's official repair pricing guide for Japan gave us the small indication. According to Nintendo's website, sending in an original Joy-Con to have stick issues fixed will cost you 2,160 yen, including tax, assuming you have no warranty left. That's just for one Joy-Con, so sending in two would cost you 4,320 yen. To have a Switch Lite sticks fixed, you'd have to pay 4,860 yen, which we're sure would be charged regardless of the number of sticks that have a fault. So not only does sending in a Switch Lite cost you more than having both your Joy-Cons sorted, but should you have an issue with one stick, it would essentially end up costing you more than double the amount it would cost for a single Joy-Con. Not only that, but you would obviously be without the console for the duration of the repair, which could be a long time, I might add. The prices we've mentioned above only relate to Switch owners in Japan, so Western players might face completely different pricing structures. That wouldn't be way off the same price range though. Like, if you compare You do the conversions for the amount of money. Assuming pricing would remain fairly consistent across the board, though, you might be looking at some slightly pricey repairs if the system does develop any issues. All right, so I've told you guys before to wait. Those of you guys, some of you guys like left me bad comments. You guys downvoted. Like, that's probably as far as ratios go, that's probably one of the worst ratios I've had for likes to dislikes. And it's fine. It's fine, because at the end of the day, I warned you guys. I did my due diligence. I told you guys to wait. And now this is the issue. Hasn't even been out that long. It just released and it's having these issues. We should not be seeing articles back to back to back in the span of 24 hours. Okay? In the span of 24 hours, we should not be seeing articles like this. But that's the reality of it. Anyways, guys, let me know down in the comment section if you bought a Switch Lite. And if you did, hopefully you don't have those issues. Hopefully you got maybe you got like the luck of the draw and you got the upgraded versions of the Switch Lite controllers, or not controllers, the joysticks. Guys, I don't know what else to say regarding this, except I would stick to the regular model. I mean, yes, this is more handheld and portable, but there's downsides to it. You can't connect it to your TV. The battery, I mean, it's smaller, but it lasts the same as the regular Switch. But buying the regular Switch now gives you more battery life. I mean, listen, there's pros and cons to both sides. But as far as the Joy-Con drift problem goes, I see more cons on the Switch Lite than I do on the regular Switch. So with that, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you found it informative. If you did, hit the like button. Subscribe if you guys are new. If you guys are salty, I understand. If you're upset, you're going to hit that dislike. That's fine too. You're entitled to your opinion. But just know, I was right. Sorry. You guys have a great rest of your day. Good game, guys.